And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It is July 21st, 2019. We got a lot to get to on the show today. I had to be selective a little bit this week. A lot of people had the chance to go political throughout their shows this week in response to the send her home bullshit that's out there. And yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is real talk on my show. So if curse words come out, curse words come out. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting. It's for even me, who honestly I'm more about people and things like that than borders and flags. It's despicable that anybody could say they're representing any body of people and act that way. That you say you want the better for anybody and you act that way, because all that behavior shows. All that idea shows, all of that belief system shows, is that you're willing to turn on anybody at any time for anything so you can keep power, so you can keep control, so you can keep influence. However small, however big. And it does not represent me. It does not represent what I thought the United States of America stood for. It does not represent the hardworking men and women of this country from years past. It does not represent the idea that America is the best, or that we are good, or that we are morally right. And for all of the people out there, the sheep, the flock, the racist, putrid nastiness of this country that feel emboldened enough to act that way, to act on their fears, to live in a place of darkness, where you are so ignorant and so scared that there is something outside of yourself, I feel sorry for you. I hope that one day you get to feel the freedom that comes with acceptance and understanding. So many people got to talk about that this week. This week we have our top 5 and bottom 5 running back groups. You know, we've done other groups so far. We're to that. We have a decision on Tyreek Hill that we're going to talk about. And just a couple other sports stories throughout the week that we're going to try and get in there. And then an announcement about the 4th annual KP Showdown Fantasy Football League. We'll get to that at the very end of the show. I want to start off with the top 5 and bottom 5 running groups in the NFL as I see them. Many people have their lists. We've talked about it before. My list is as important as anybody else's list and or your list, because face it, it's just a list. I'll remind everybody again how I go about breaking down these position groups and ranking them out and giving them scores and deciding 1 through 32, thus giving me my bottom 5 and top 5. I have each division laid out. There's 4 teams in each division. I then list your best running back, your best fullback, and all of your key depth, giving me 3 categories for the running back group. I then, within each division, assign a rank 1 through 4 on the 3 categories, average those ranks out across the 3 categories, giving you an overall score for your division. You move forward into one of 4 groups based on where you rank in your division, 1 through 4. Those 4 groups are then broken down 1 through 8 to give me the top 8 teams, 9 through 16, 17 through 25, and 26 through 32. So, that being said, we're going to start every week, just like we do at the top of my list, the NFC North, not just because I'm a Lions fan, but because North, South, East, West, start with the NFC. I've always kind of been an NFC-leaning type guy. So there's how we'll start with that division. Make it simple for everybody. All right, so in the NFC North, best starting running back in the division. Now, I could go to Detroit on this one. I could go Kerryon Johnson. He had a nice, promising rookie season, had some injuries toward the end. They kind of kept him out because there was no point of playing him again. But you look at projected who are the other starting running backs in the division are right now. Green Bay, Jamal Williams, Minnesota, Dalvin Cook, and Chicago, Tyreek Cohen. Okay, look at their body of work, look at their time in the league, look at their skill set, all of those types of things. you would have to say Dalvin Cook is the best running back in the NFC North. I will give Tyreek Cohen the nod as the second best, putting Kerryon Johnson at third and Jamal Williams at fourth. Why I give Tyreek Cohen the nod? He's done it a little bit longer. We have more of a body of work. Now, is he a true three down back? No. He's not the inside-out type of guy. He's a specialist. He's a weapon. They're going to have specific plays that go for him. He's still, with what he's accomplished, a little bit ahead of what Kerryon Johnson is at this point. Moving to the fullbacks, only 3 of the teams have fullbacks. Chicago does not carry a fullback on their roster. That automatically puts them ranked 4th. If you do not have a fullback, I can't give you points for that. If everybody in your division doesn't have a fullback, I'm pretty much going to rank that spot based off of what the projected starting running back is. So that's kind of how those holes get filled in this system, this particular scoring system. So I've got the Lions with the best fullback, Nick Bawden, in the division. I've got C.J. Ham in Minnesota second, Danny Vitale in Green Bay third, and Chicago, they don't have one, so they come in 4th in that category. As far as depth in the division, I'll give that to Chicago. I like them having Mike Davis and David Montgomery, the rookie. He looks explosive. He looks strong. I think it's going to be a nice trio there for Chicago as far as that goes, so I like their depth. Detroit has a lot of depth. I like C.J. Anderson a lot. Theo Riddick, I expect to have a bounce back. Zach Zener's better than everybody think. And their rookie, Ty Johnson, who knows what they can really expect to get out of him. He might actually push Theo Riddick out the door. I've got Green Bay coming in 3rd and Minnesota with the worst depth in the division, in my opinion. So that's just a little bit of how that broke down. And if you look at how that then breaks down those teams in the division, Detroit wins the division. They have the best running back group in the division across those 3 categories through my scoring system, followed by Chicago, Minnesota, and Green Bay. So Detroit goes into 1 group, Chicago goes into 2 group, Minnesota goes into 3s, and Green Bay falls into that 4 group. Could we rank it different? I could have just taken their scores, their average rank, put those in order, and then if there were ties, pick the one that I thought were better. Instead, I added another wrinkle into it. Going through to the NFC South, I really like what New Orleans got going on at their running back position, even losing Ingram to Baltimore. You still got Alvin Kamara. You've got Zach Line at fullback. You have Michael Burton as another fullback. You've got Latavius Murray, who comes in and can give you that power running. You have Dwayne Washington, who had spent some time in Detroit and had spent some time in Seattle, coming in. He's got some size. He's got some speed. He can be a guy who can fill in and play some special teams for you. So I like what they're doing there. Their pieces fit their team very well. I've got Carolina second in that division with Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, what he's got going on. You've got Alex Arma back, Cameron Artis-Payne, Elijah Holyfield. I like him as a rookie. I don't think he ever becomes the all-pro type running back, but I think he can be a Ty Montgomery type, and we'll talk about him actually later on the list as he's with the Jets right now. Tampa Bay's got nice depth as well. Andre Ellington, Peyton Barber, and really Atlanta, not a lot of depth there with just Kenyon Barner. So I have the division, New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa Bay coming in 4th in that division as far as the running back groups ranking out. In the NFC East, this one, I honestly, going into my scoring, I had preconceived ideas of how this division was going to rank out in my head. But after putting the names on paper and then going through and being objective about it, it did surprise me a little bit the way it came out. Best depth in the division, I've got Washington with the best depth. I know Darius Geis is injured right now and he's going to spend some time out, but they bring in the rookie Bryce Love, who is very promising. One of the better running backs in the college level until he got hurt. And they still have Smdh, who has proven he can play in the NFL, and we all know what he did at Oklahoma. So a lot of depth there. Adrian Peterson still got some tread on the tires, although I have Adrian Peterson as the third best running back in the division. Obviously, you can't put him any higher than that, and you could argue whether or not he's better than Jordan Howard in Philadelphia. But Ezekiel Elliott, to me, is the best running back in the division right now. Saquon Barkley, a close second, followed by Adrian Peterson and Jordan Howard, who I think is going to be a big help for Philadelphia. So in that division, I've got Dallas with the best overall running back group across all three categories, followed by Washington, Philadelphia, and the Giants. I honestly didn't think going into it I was going to have Washington as high as I did. I was more impressed by their depth. Having that number one depth, having the third best running back, really kind of put them over. Philadelphia, I'm not really... Corey Clement, he's definitely a weapon. Donnell Humphrey, he can be a weapon. Wendell Smallwood, we've seen him get some plays in. Jordan Howard, I think he's going to be the workhorse for that team this year. But it's just not that dynamic of a group. It's a hit and miss, maybe a play here and there. Could probably get enough done to be competitive type of a group, in my opinion. NFC West, I've got San Francisco with the best overall group in the division, followed by Seattle, the Rams, and Arizona. A lot of people were like, well, hey, how can you have the Rams that low? They've got Todd Gurley. Yes, but we now know that he's dealing with arthritic knees. Okay, he's have problems. So we might get some good, we might get some bad, we might get some weeks where he's got to sit out. We don't know what's going to happen there with Todd Gurley. But I still have him as the best overall running back in the division. That's not where LA got hurt. They got hurt as not having a fullback because neither them nor Arizona have fullbacks. A lot of teams don't have fullbacks, so that drops them down. So they do get higher points than Arizona because I have them higher ranked as far as, Todd Gurley above David Johnson. As much as I liked David Johnson a few years ago, the injury, we have not seen the same David Johnson. Last year's offensive system did not really fit his skills very well there in Arizona. We'll see how they're able to utilize him now in year 2 coming back from the injury, where we now know, yes, he is going to be at full strength, 100%, not just healthy enough to play. So this could all change. And Matt Breida, he's also coming off of injury. I do have San Francisco with the best fullback in the division, as only San Francisco and Seattle carry the fullbacks. I'll take Kyle Juszczyk over Nick Bellore. And then I also give San Francisco the best depth with Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon, followed by Seattle with Rashad Penny, CJ Prosise, and Bo Scarborough. So that is San Francisco, Seattle, Rams, Arizona. Moving on to the AFC side of the ball. AFC North will go north, south, east, west again. On the AFC side, of course, I've got Cleveland with the best running back group in the AFC North. I really like what they're putting together. Nick Chubb is a beast. Nick Chubb is a very good running back. They do not carry a fullback, but they're the highest ranked team not carrying a fullback in the division, above Cincinnati, the other team that does not carry a fullback. Now, I love their depth. I hope they don't trade Duke Johnson. I think they're going to need him. I don't think waiting for Kareem Hunt, who is a stud, to come back in week 8 is going to be enough. Now, we all know why Kareem Hunt is out. We saw the videos. We know he has anger issues. He likes to push and kick. He's serving his time while his former teammate just got to go back to practice, which we will talk about that also here in a little bit. But I like their depth. I have them as the number one depth in the division. I like Baltimore's depth, Kenneth Dixon and the rookie Justice Hill. They'll be able to bring Hill along a little bit slower with Mark Ingram and Kenneth Dixon. And really, Pittsburgh's got a lot of depth. Trey Edmonds, Trayvon McMillan, the rookie, and Benny Snell Jr., the rookie. Good depth there behind James Conner. Gives them some power, gives them some speed, gives them some shiftiness. I just like some of the other depth and the established players a little bit better in that division. So Cleveland first. I've got Pittsburgh coming in second in that division, Baltimore third, and Cincinnati bringing up the rear. Really, they don't have the fullback. Giovanni Bernard's really the only key depth that they have, and Joe Mixon right now is probably the third best running back in that division. I know he's got a lot of skills. I know he's quick, he can catch the pass, but we still got to see that mature come onto the field on the NFL level. AFC South, I gave this one to Jacksonville. I kind of thought it was going to be Tennessee coming into it, but I like what Jacksonville's got. Leonard Fournette, you expect him to come back healthy this year. You add depth in Alfred Blue. You bring in a Benny Cunningham. You have Thomas Rawls, so a lot of depth there. That running game doesn't look like it should fall off if any one person gets hurt this year. Yes, Leonard Fournette is a special back, but with the depth that they have behind him, they should be okay if something happens to him this year. Houston's the only team in the division that carries a fullback in Cullen Gillespie. Tennessee with Derrick Henry, and really their only key with depth being Dion Lewis. That's kind of what brought them out of that first spot. They don't carry a fullback. They don't have a lot of depth, but those two guys they do have are pretty good, and you can expect them to be pretty good. Indianapolis, we've heard the rumors of J.A. Jaye maybe circling back and being a guy. He's still a free agent out there. They have Spencer Ware. They have Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack had a great season last year. We've seen Spencer Ware have some moments in Kansas City, but I've got them as the fourth best team in the division. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Houston, Indianapolis. On the AFC side, the way the rankings have been going, I kind of expected New England to be up there again. Maybe the Jets with the signing of Le'Veon Bell. Then again, I put the names on paper. I go through and actually do the rankings. I've got Buffalo first in that division. You've still got Shady McCoy. You've got Patrick DeMarco, one of the better fullbacks in the league. And now Frank Gore, who's the veteran, who's going to be able to be a sounding board, who's going to get those tough yards as well. And you bring in a TJ Yeldon. That's a nice little running back core with those four guys right there. Better than anything else in the division. I do have New England second in the division with Sony Michel, James Devlin, James White, Damian Harris, the rookie, Rex Burkhead, Brandon Bolden. So a lot of guys they can play in multiple sets on offense, multiple sets on special teams, but just not up to the same level as what Baltimore really has going on. Impressive nonetheless. I mean, Buffalo. But impressive nonetheless for New England, still second there. I've got the Jets third in that division with Le'Veon Bell really being the reason for that. D'Angelo Henderson, he's a nice little rookie, third-year player now at this point, but as a rookie, he was a nice little player, kind of shifty, didn't really get any play time at that point. Broncos practice squad type guy. Ty Montgomery, we've seen what he was doing in Green Bay. You don't want him to be your starter, but you want him to be on your team making plays. And then Bilal Powell, he'll be able to give Le'Veon Bell probably a little bit more reps off in some of those tougher situations. Miami, they're just kind of hurting for players. Kenyon Drake, he could be a number 2 guy, but he's their number 1. You've got Chandler Cox at the fullback position, and then their best key depth is probably Kalen Ballage, who still is working on the NFL game. AFC West, final division. I've got Denver, Oakland, the Chargers, and Kansas City. I have to put Melvin Gordon as the second best starter in the division right now because we don't know. There's that air of uncertainty with him. With the possible holdout, will he do the Le'Veon Bell thing and stay out? Is he going to show up for camp and work through the deal? Varying reports out there. Some people think he's kind of backpedaling at this point, so I can't really put him in that number 1 spot, not knowing if he's even going to be on the field. So I'm going to give it to the second-year player, Phillip Lindsay. I like the way he runs the ball. I like the multi-dimensional ability of his game. Carlos Hyde for Kansas City, I'm going to say he's probably their best running back. Maybe they're going to say Damian Williams, one of the Williams boys, Darrell Williams, Damian Williams. Maybe he becomes the starter. He was on the team last year. Carlos Hyde is coming over. I would expect Carlos Hyde to probably be the starter. So I'm going to move Melvin Gordon to 2. I got Josh Jacobs, the rookie for Oakland, at 3, and Carlos Hyde at 4. All 4 of these teams carry a fullback. I'll take Andy Janovich out of the division, followed by Derek Watt, Anthony Sherman, and then Keith Smith. And as far as depth, you got to like Oakland's depth with Alec Ingold, the rookie, DeAndre Washington, Chris Warren, Jalen Richard, Doug Martin, Isaiah Crowell. I know Isaiah Crowell's hurt, but he's still going to be able to be there in meetings and give advice and things like that, especially to a guy like Josh Jacobs. I'll take Devontae Booker and Royce Freeman as the second best depth in the division. Kansas City third, and the Chargers with the probably the worst depth in the division, but some guys, Justin Jackson, Austin Eckler, that can play. So ranking those teams out. Remember, I then take those rankings 1 through 4 from the division. I take all the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, group them together, and I get my 1 through 32. We're going to start with the bottom 8, all right? But that's going to start with our bottom 5. So bottom 5, starting with the worst running back group overall in the NFL based on my obligatory ranking system. I've got the Miami Dolphins at 32, Indianapolis, who I think still needs one stronger back. Marlon Mack and Spencer Ware are nice, but I think they need one guy. I think that could be Jay Ajayi as a nice piece there. Arizona, I've got next at 30. David Johnson, we got to see more coming out of him. He's going to have another monster year for them to move that group up the board. Cincinnati at 29 and Green Bay at 28. Moving out of the top, and what you see in those groups outside of maybe Cincinnati and Arizona is guys that probably wouldn't be a starter on another team. You see not very much depth. You might see teams that don't have fullbacks, which maybe shouldn't hurt your team as far as how good your running back group is. But in this system that I put together, it does a little bit. Cincinnati's got some nice starters. Giovanni Bernard's a nice backup. Arizona's got David Johnson. So maybe, you could argue, oh, well, they could be higher. They've got these names. But no, if something happens to one of them, there's nothing there behind them. They're going off the scrap heap at that point. So they're hurting. Tampa Bay at 27. I've got Kansas City at 26. I've got the Giants at 25. I thought for sure coming into this, as much as I like Saquon Barkley's play, that they would not be that low. But there's not a lot going on that Giants team other than Saquon Barkley. I've got Atlanta dropping down to 24, Minnesota at 23, Philadelphia at 22, the Chargers at 21, and that could be completely different if we had a status for sure on Melvin Gordon. They would probably be somewhere between 15 and 8 is my guess, because that would have changed some of their rankings and their average points within the division. I've got Houston at 20, Baltimore at 19. I like what Baltimore is putting together again with Ingram and Justice Hill. I think that's going to be ultimately by mid-season a really good 1-2 punch. The Jets easily can move up on this list. We'll see how they're able to utilize Le'Veon Bell. I've got them at 18. I've got the Rams at 17. So that's the bottom half of the league. Again, with the bottom 5 being Green Bay, Cincinnati, Arizona, Indianapolis, and Miami at 32. Top half of the league, Oakland at 16. They're young, okay? Their best running back is Josh Jacobs, and he's a rookie. They're in danger of possibly running the rookie into the ground. This is a kid coming in from Alabama, where we already know Alabama running backs are hit and miss. They all look really good in college. Some of them come into the NFL and can ball. Some of them it takes a couple of years to learn it, and some of them make a splash. What we will get from Josh Jacobs, I don't know. Lucky for him, they have a pretty decent offensive line in Oakland. I've got Tennessee at 15 with Dion Lewis and Henry there for Tennessee, Derrick Henry. I got Carolina at 14, Chicago at 13, Washington comes in at 12 with all of their depth and potential. I hope Geis can get healthy and not suffer another leg injury and can actually get some playing time this year, because I'd like to see how him and Peterson kind of play off of each other and how they're utilized in the offense there. I'll take Seattle at 11. Pittsburgh rounds out the top 10. New England at 9. San Francisco at 8. Detroit comes in at 7. Dallas at 6. Ezekiel Elliott is great, but we need something else there. Where's the depth there with Dallas? If you look at what they've got, you've got to like the fullback, Jamezy Awalier, best fullback in the division considering there's only 2. But then their only key depth really is Ryan Juracek, and I think he's a fullback. I don't even think he's another tailback or halfback. But Ezekiel Elliott gets Dallas up to 6. I've got Buffalo in the top 5 as far as running back groups. Cleveland at 4, Jacksonville at 3. I'll take Denver's group second. And my favorite group in the NFL running back wise is the New Orleans Saints going into the 2018-2019 season. That's how I see it. If you want to let me know what I got right, what I got wrong, please go to the website, www.realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. There's a nice little link where you can get at me and you can go off, you can praise me, you can challenge me, you can try and get on the show, and if you want me to get back at you, go ahead and leave your email address and I will get back at you. The NFL had a chance to get back at domestic violence and officially make a stance and not be so wishy-washy and, audio, video, hearsay, police report, written word, and actually have a stance and decide whether they're against it or for it in any nature whatsoever. And in this case, with Tyreek Hill, I'm going to say they got it wrong. Now, I understand the district attorney, and I understand the NFL's investigators could not say for sure 100% whether it was Tyreek Hill or his estranged fiance, girlfriend, who broke the little boy's arm. Couldn't prove it. No, somebody did something, but couldn't prove it one way or another. Fine, you can't prove it. You've got all the audio where they're accusing each other back and forth. You're going to say because they did it back and forth in a heat of the moment and no real threats. Okay, he did make a threat. He said, you should be scared of me too, bitch. That represents the league. What he is showing is that he is an entitled little baby boy. That he does not have the maturity to be part of having the privilege to play a game for that amount of money. You let Kareem Hunt go as an organization, Kansas City, because there's a video of him pushing a girl and kicking her in the butt while she was squatting down. Because you wanted to say, look, we're getting out ahead of it. We're against domestic violence. But you have Tyreek Hill on your roster, who in college pled guilty to domestic violence, who is now on audio tape telling his girlfriend, the mother of his children, she should be scared of him too. NFL, you have all of this information, and you have all chosen to do nothing. He is not going to serve a penalty. He is not going to serve a suspension. He does not have a fine. So again, what you are telling me is that if there is not a video of the action, you do not care what your athletes do to women and children. But if there's a video, then you have a problem with it. That's what the NFL is saying. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs are saying when it comes to Tyreek Hill, when it comes to their former player, Kareem Hunt. We've got a video. Look at us. Look how great we are. We got out in front of it. We made a decision. We're on the side of right. Oh, there's no video. We're going to slow play it. Tyreek, just kind of take a paid vacation, and then you can come back full activity, no problem, because we don't have a video of that. You either don't agree with domestic violence or you do. You're either against racism or you're racist. There's no excusing one away. There's no explaining it as going, oh, well, when I wear the MAGA hat, it's not because I'm racist. No, that's what it represents. It's not, oh, I see domestic violence, so I have a problem with it. You either do or you don't, and the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs are showing they're two-faced when it comes to this example, when it comes to this topic, when it comes to women and children. It's pathetic. It's weak. Minimum for the threat he made in the video, if in the audio, if you can't prove one way or another who broke the 3-year-old's arm, minimum for the threat in the audio and how that represents the league and the players in it and the perception that you want to have, he should be serving a suspension. He should be serving a fine. He should be asked to be going to anger management classes. and completing a program because he clearly has a problem. Now, what we have to do now is hope. Sit back and hope that he doesn't do anything worse, that he doesn't do something else, that there's not another argument that causes something worse, because we've chosen not to do anything about it now because we don't have a video. Shameful. It's just shameful. Ross Tucker said it great. Ultimately appears Tyreek Hill got the benefit of the doubt that Zeke and others didn't even though he, one, has a heinous prior conviction on his record. Two, the DA said in a statement that he believed a crime was committed. And three, very disturbingly, threatening audio. But we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. No, you don't have a video, so this one's going to disappear faster. It's not going to go viral in the age of social media. So we don't have to do anything about it because it'll go away for us. And we just hope nothing worse comes of it. We're going to turn tables. We'll go to a different player who's got apparently different issues going on for him right now. Broncos take Missouri quarterback Drew Lock this year in the draft. Speculation out there, Joe Flacco's in the same situation as he was in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. At what point in the season might they turn to Lock? At what point in the preseason is Lock going to get moved to the number 2? Well, Mike Kliss here in Denver, a local reporter for 9 News and Denver Post, and he's reporting this week Fangio. Here's Fangio's comments on Drew Lock. Now, these comments don't give me confidence. And they say that if they do go in this direction, they're desperate at their backup quarterback position. They're desperate again at trying to find a way to fill that quarterback position. Because we know Joe Flacco, he's starting the season. Minimum. He's going to have to bomb out kind of like he did last year and just kind of dwindle away and have some bad games, get hurt, not be all that productive for them to look to go away from him. No guaranteed money left. They don't owe him anything after this year. They don't owe him anything. You know, there's no guaranteed money left on his contract. But here's what Vic Fangio, the new Broncos coach, has to say about their rookie draft pick from this year. His college offense had no carryover to pro offenses. He was under duress a lot. I don't think he's as far along being an NFL-ready quarterback as he could have been. He's not a quarterback yet. He's a hard-throwing pitcher who doesn't know how to pitch yet. And this is Mike Kliss after, sitting through the interview, asking him questions, putting this back out on Twitter. What part of that Broncos country makes you go, oh, I'm excited for this kid? I'm sorry. I've thought for a long time Flacco's an average NFL quarterback. He sits somewhere between 10 and 20 depending on the season. He's never been better than that. I thought his $100 million contract was going to hurt other teams moving forward because of what they were going to end up having to pay their quarterbacks, and it's proven to be so. Because after his deal, other guys were like, well, hey, if he's getting that, I need to get this, and we've seen the skyrocketing, escalating contracts since then. Now, that doesn't mean Flacco can't play, but if he gets hurt, if this offense isn't working, if he's not getting the ball up and he's throwing balls into the dirt and guys aren't getting open and guys are dropping balls and Cortland Sutton doesn't take that next step and Deshaun Hamilton doesn't take that next step and Emmanuel Sanders has some kind of setback with the Achilles, they're not sitting in a prime position with a guy that their head coach is referring to as a hard-throwing pitcher who doesn't know how to pitch yet. This goes back to Elway not being able to evaluate quarterbacks. This is still trying to fix everything that has happened since Manning retired and every misstep that has happened since then at that position. Coaching mishap, personnel picks, not following through on guys, not building a team around the players. So you scramble, you panic. You want to pull what D-Mac here in Denver always talks about, and you just pick the best player because you got to have a quarterback, and you get him in the first round, and if he's your guy, you get him in the top 10, and you make it happen. No, quarterbacks are over-evaluated. They're over. They get higher rankings just because of their position. And yes, they touch the ball more than anybody on the field. And yes, if you have a horrible quarterback, your team's not going to be any good. But they are very much dependent on every other player on the field doing their job just like everybody else does. The center doesn't do his job, the quarterback can't do his job. The receivers can't get open, the quarterback doesn't get the credit. Look at Matthew Stafford. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how well you can throw the ball, how many angles you can throw the ball from. You've got to have some of that. You've got to have some of the mental side, and you've got to be able to put it together in a fast-paced, chaotic environment. And what Vic Fangio is saying right now to Broncos country is the guy we've selected to be our backup and possibly our future can't do it. Can't do it. So if I'm a Broncos fan, I don't have faith. I am not satisfied. I am not stable in thinking if we're good if Flacco happens to go down for a game or two. It's panic mode. Thurman was in panic mode last night, got himself knocked down. Pacquiao goes and hands him his first loss of his career in a split decision, and he gets the I think the WBO title, so congratulations to Pacquiao, still getting it done. Thurman might have got caught in the mystique of fighting Pacquiao a little bit, fighting the legend, getting it stuck in his head that he's got to go do something special to beat him instead of going out and doing the style of fight that got him to be undefeated to this point. And we got another fight coming up. It's a different kind of fight. It's fantasy football. It's the fight for the title. It's the fight to be number one in the 4th annual KP Showdown NFL Fantasy Football League for Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. If you want to join, go ahead. Go to NFL.com. Go to fantasy. NFL.com/registration/ you'll look for the league ID. You can write it down, 616-4249. It's going to be out there on the social media. You'll put the league ID in. You'll enter the league password, One Pride, all capital letters. And you can join the team, and if you want some, you can come get some. And I sound emboldened, but I've yet to win my own fantasy league. My best showing has been 2nd place. I've gotten 3rd place. Last year I did not fare so well. But it's fun. We've got side bets that always happen. So it's a good time. If you want to get down, get down. It's a fun league. There's no entry fees. We've got points opened that don't happen in other fantasy leagues because I'm giving everybody credit for everything that they do on the field, whether it's defensive players, defenders, special teams, running backs, receivers, quarterbacks. So our league, you get a lot more points for what happens every week. Makes it a little bit more fun. With that being said, until next time, that's all I got for you this week. Until next time, you know how we do. Just be real.